Welcome back to Lost Legacies, a Hidden City bookshop production. I'm Matt.
And I'm Sam.
And here we are again. So apparently we're Hidden City bookshop again because there are other Hidden City things out there. So there is a pretty new Hidden City Productions. I don't know who they are. There's also like a Hidden City Media. So I guess we're back to what we registered as a business, the Hidden City Bookshop.
Oh God,
Who does not sell books or have a shop, but we do podcasts now.
That's gonna get very confusing and complicated very quickly.
Hey, but maybe that's the point. They're like, "Where's the bookshop?" You gotta come find us.
But there's no place to find. We're in the ether, you know.
We're hidden.
We're in the cloud, man.
We're right here.
Oh my gosh.
Although that was kind of, I would have loved to do that, like with a bookshop. Where's the bookshop? Gotta come find us. Let your intuition, follow your intuition. Let it guide you.
Wow. And then there's me. As soon as you like leave and scamper off, I give them a business card with our physical location.
Yeah,
like, here you go. Don't mind him.
Yeah.
This is so weird. I feel like I'm usually the one that has like my head in the clouds, you know. But for some reason, whenever we team up for stuff, you're the one that's like, yeah, we're gonna go all over the place. We're gonna do this.
That's why we can't get anything done.
I have to be the grounded one. Oh my god.
Wow. Oh man. Well, what's new, man?
Well, I finished Picard.
Oh yes. Okay. Spoiler free talk.
Yeah, spoiler free talk.
Picard. What are your thoughts?
I dug it. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was interesting. I feel like because I binged like the first 6 episodes all in a day.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me like 2 weeks to finish the rest of it. But when I did, I watched the last 4 episodes. And I don't know, man, maybe it was just like the time of day, you know, maybe or the time of the year, seasons changed. I don't know. But yeah, I just kind of felt like those first 6 episodes were a lot stronger than the final 4, you know, maybe honestly, it might just be like the final 2 episodes. I feel like, I definitely feel like there was like a big sort of grand plan it was all leading to this. It's all leading, you know, to the thing. And then when it happened, it was like, oh, like the reveal is kind of what got me like, oh, this is what we're doing. Okay. You know, or like, and like, oh, these are the masterminds, you know, behind what's going on. It's like, oh, okay. And it did sort of feel like they felt like a couple like, not really like storylines, but sort of just like character storyline. Oh yeah, I guess, yeah, character storylines, you know, that kind of did feel like, well, now we're caught up in this for the last 2 episodes and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I feel like on the whole I enjoyed it. I definitely think I enjoyed it a lot more than the first season
of Picard.
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I had fun.
I think
I had fun.
I feel like this season should have been 12 episodes. I feel like they needed 2 more.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right. Those first 6 episodes were solid. Like great pacing. And then by the time you get to the last 4 and then especially the last 2, it's like, damn, we have a lot to do in very limited time.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were great. I loved it. I think episode 9 was peak. You know, it was Star Trek. Won't say why, but if you've seen it, you know why.
Mm-hmm.
It was just it was a good conclusion to that series. It was a much better conclusion than what the films provided.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you're saying. Also, I mean, no spoilers really, but there is an epilogue, you know, that kind of wraps up at the end of the very last episode in the finale, and it kind of says, you know, what's happening now, what's the future look like, and parts of that too. It was like, really, it just seemed more like plot convenience.
Yeah.
You know, those last couple episodes, certain things started happening that were convenient to the story, convenient to wrapping up the plot within this allotted time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a bummer. I don't know. I still think it was very good. It was very solid. Certainly better than the last two next gen movies. But yeah, I don't know. It was good. They also leave it very open ended too, you know. And there's a big fan push now wanting Star Trek Legacy with
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the new characters, and you know for sure some of the old next gen characters are going to be down to return. Some of
Yeah.
them at least. So yeah, I'm excited. It was really good, and you know I got to watch it with Dad, and just every week it was, especially towards the end, it was so emotional because you know we were looking at each other and we're like, man, you know, and dad brought up at one point, he was like, I remember sitting down with you 36 years ago to watch the very first episode, and I was a
Mm-hmm.
wee little like 4 or 5 month year old baby, and now here we are, you know, 36 years later. It's like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
damn. So yeah, it was a wild ride. I really enjoyed it. um I think at some point we could probably talk more in depth, because I think to really have a good discussion about it, we're gonna have to drop spoilers. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah.
Because that's where a lot of the best parts of the story and a lot of part of the weakest parts of the story are integral plot points. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but I loved it, and can't wait to see what happens next in Star Trek. Hmm.
Me too.
Also, something else you watched since between now and the last episode was Scream 6.
Oh, that's right.
Mm-hmm. How'd you feel
I,
about that one?
I loved it. I enjoyed it. Um, let me let me get this out of the way. I want to see the version of this movie that had Nev Campbell,
Mm-hmm.
because the way this movie the way this movie works is very interesting, because it feels like they pivot away from the older characters, from the original characters, and are now focusing solely on the new characters that came from the last one.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's an interesting way that they get around not having Nev Campbell in the movie, which is what they had to do, when the studios decided to lowball Nev Campbell. I am very curious to see what that version of the movie would have looked like. But having said that, the version of the movie that we have now, I think, is pretty rock solid. I rewatched Scream 5 not too long ago, and I still enjoyed it, but yeah, there were just a couple of things that, like, kind of, I don't know, grated on me. But I don't know, watching this one right out of the gate, I'm like, dang, this is kind of up there with, like, at least Scream 2 for me. I love
Oh,
Scream 2.
nice. Okay.
Yeah, it's that good, and they kind of use Scream 2 as, like, the template for this
Huh.
one.
See, because
um
especially because it is the second part of this new trilogy, maybe.
Trilogy, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe series, who knows. But yeah, the kills are pretty brutal.
Mm-hmm.
I think they said this is, like, the bloodiest
Mm.
Scream. And yeah, it's pretty brutal. I gotta say, man, big city slashers, they hit differently, you
Mm-hmm.
know. I'll say this, like, I do feel like they maybe don't there isn't like a huge sort of focus on the city itself, like, they're in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
But they do kind of stay away from a lot of, like, the iconography.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
So
like, it's
Ghostface doesn't chase him through Times Square?
no, none of that. It's just a lot of, like, dark alleys, some apartments,
Yeah.
um they do like try and, like, yeah, I won't spoil it, but like they do try and like set up maybe like, oh, we might be able to catch them, and like they are in like a part of Central Park.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of it, it is just more of like the ambiance of being
Yeah.
in the city. Um
Hmm.
yeah, so that was interesting, but yeah, man, I don't know, I really liked it. It was real interesting. I think like the reveal, like the killer reveal, this might be like the weakest
Mm.
out of the franchise, but still, like the kills are brutal,
Yeah.
and so it's like, oh, okay. And especially where they leave off on this one, it's like it's good. It's a real interesting sort of place. Like I really do wonder about like where they're gonna go, when
Mm-hmm.
they do the next one, because they they've tackled the requel idea in the last one. That was what the last one was about. And so
Mm-hmm.
now this is the sequel to the requel, where there sort of are no more rules. Anybody is up for
Interesting.
grabs. Anybody can die now,
Yeah.
so it's all just about like keeping everybody engaged.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, man. I know when I make my movie, though, my Scream, part of it's going to be at StabCon. So they're going to have an entire building full of people with the ghost face mask.
Honestly, yes, bring it. I think
And
that's a
Eagle
great
Eye
idea.
viewers, you'll have to keep a lookout for the mask from Scary Movie. He's going to be like the Waldo.
Well, it's funny you say that, because there is a sort of little Easter egg for fans of the Scream TV series that was on MTV.
Oh, interesting.
Because they couldn't get the licensing to the original mask for the
Hmm.
first two seasons, they had a different mask. So it's like
Oh,
a different
weird.
shape, and it's like a silvery sort of
Uh-huh.
color. But then I think it it got bought out, went from MTV to VH1 for a season, and so they just like essentially rebooted the whole thing, and they were able to
Mm.
get the license for the mask.
Hmm.
So yeah.
That's
But
interesting.
yeah, it's in there somewhere. I think I saw it in the subway scene, but it's only there for like half a second, so I gotta go
Yeah.
back and find it.
Wow.
But yeah.
That's crazy. I'm fascinated by the idea of horror, but that kind of, that's me. I love subverting stuff. So
Hmm.
like the concept of placing like a slasher in a big city, I would really try to capitalize on crowds and having a lot of people. You think you would feel safe there.
Hmm.
If someone's
Hmm.
gonna, I love the scene in I Know What You Did Last Summer, where Sarah Michelle Gellar, spoilers for I Know What You Did Last Summer, Sarah Michelle Gellar's trying to escape Hookman, and she's in the alley, and nobody could hear her getting killed because it's a parade, and like
Hmm.
she's feet away from the crowd. And I was
Yeah.
like, dude, yes, man, like
Yeah.
that's what I love. It's like this false sense of security, and it's kind of the same way. I'm not gonna watch it, but Midsommar, the daytime horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
You think, oh, the sun's out. What bad is gonna happen? Well, I'll tell you, bad.
Plenty
Yeah.
bad.
So it's kind of, I like that, and I love the idea of a horror film where you're not alone, where you're surrounded by a bunch of people. And I also have some ideas about telling a story like that that's maybe even a little eldritch horror.
Hmm. Hmm.
So think of like The Shining, but instead of like the ghosts from the past haunting, it's like, no, that's when it takes place, when everyone is still there.
Hmm.
Something like that.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's just me. And then also, I want to do the Scream after that. They go to space. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How many stabs? I think I asked you this already. How many stabs are they at in the franchise?
Um,
Are they at X yet?
8.
8.
Yeah. So in the one before, they talk about Stab 8, which Ryan Johnson directed. and it didn't have the number on it, so it was just called
Mm,
Stab,
hmm.
which is just like that Scream movie. Scream 5 is
Yeah.
just called Scream.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah.
I do one in space. In space, no one can hear you. Stab 9. Like, wait, what?
They're like, wait, what?
Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Okay, so last thing about Scream before we move on to this episode. Off the cuff, Sam,
Mhm.
rank your Scream movies least favorite to favorite.
Ooh, least favorite to favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Least favorite. Oh man. Uh, let me just preface this by saying I love all the Scream movies.
Okay.
I think it's my favorite slasher franchise.
Nice.
And I have said it, but I'll say it again. I don't care that there are multiple people. Ghostface is my favorite slasher.
Nice.
So, least favorite to favorite, Scream 5,
Oh, okay.
Scream 3,
Uh-huh.
Scream 4,
Mm-hmm.
Scream 6,
Hmm.
and then yeah, screw it. Scream and Scream 2.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the same thing. Like I haven't really watched any of the others, but I prefer Scream 2 over the first one. Easily.
See, like it's real interesting because like Scream is very much it's definitive. It's iconic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it is the thing that kind of launches, this like new wave of slasher. It rejuvenates like the slasher franchise.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very so much like meta commentary, all this stuff. But I really, really love the journey that Sydney's going on in the second one. It's the aftermath. And that's
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I've always been curious about, not just with like slashers, but like heroes' journeys, like the whole point of the story is that yeah, we got to the end, like we did it and it's all great. It's like, yeah, but now what? How does your life change having gone through this experience, whether you're going
Right.
off to save Middle Earth or you survived being stabbed, to
Mm-hmm.
death multiple times. um so that idea is they play with that idea in Scream 2, and I just love how they do it. And it's sort of the thing, like, you should feel safe on a college campus, right? You
Mm-hmm.
should feel safe. You're with your friends all the time. Like, this should be the safest place. Nope. No, it's not. Colleges infamously breed resentment and really, really weird, creepy people.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's also one of the good things about the Die Hard franchise.
Mm,
Like
mhm,
it
mhm.
continuously, life got worse for John McClane as it went on. You know, I thought
Mhm.
not so much 4 and 5, but really those first three. It was really interesting to see John McClane's like downfall,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah.
And then like at the end of 3, I think does he get back with Holly?
No, I don't think so.
They don't really like wrap it up. Like he just kind of kills
Mhm,
the bad guy, and then well, they also
mhm.
went they reshot the ending too, so that's why.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like they're already split by that point.
yeah.
Yeah, but I do like that. What
Mhm.
happens after? Hmm, man, I was gonna say something else. I don't remember
Mm.
something about because I was thinking about the character, like what happens after it's over, like what happens to you as a character. I thought of a good one, and then I thought of John McClane, and oh,
Oh well.
well. And speaking of slashers, someone got their throat slashed this episode. That's right, we're talking about season
Oh, that's
4,
right.
episode 11, Cabin Fever. Locke, Hurley, and Ben trek through the jungle in search of Jacob's cabin, while Kimi continues his killing spree. Man, hell of an episode.
Yeah, yeah.
This one was nuts. Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. Scream 1 changed the game the same way Iron Man changed superhero movies.
Mm-hmm.
But I hate it when people claim Iron Man is the best superhero movie. Or they're like, this is the best MCU movie. It's like, no, you're thinking about it culturally.
Mm.
Like, yeah, it had probably the biggest impact, but it's not the best movie.
Mm. Okay. I can see that.
But now I do feel like there is a good argument that to have that Scream is the best one. I get that. But
Mhm.
Iron Man is not the best MCU movie. Speaking of which, it's like 15
Okay.
years old, I think today. Today or
Oh wow.
yesterday. Yeah.
Cool.
Clark Gregg was posting about it. Yeah.
Man, changed everything.
Yeah. And speaking of slashers, someone got their throat slit this episode. Okay, back at it. What'd you think about this episode, man?
Uh Crazy, man. Wild. Definitely like, we're definitely ramping up to something, some sort of confrontation,
We're
some
in the
kind
end
of,
game now.
yeah. Kind of, yeah.
It feels like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially considering that at some point, 6 of them are going to make it off the island. It feels like, oh man, okay, what's happening? For all intents and purposes, is this the end game? Is this how we get off and survive? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I just realized something, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the thing that we should talk about at the end. So I'm gonna put a pin in it.
Okay.
I'm telling you so that hopefully you also remember. So okay.
Okay.
All right. I don't like Kimi, but I'm digging Kevin Durant.
Dude,
You
he's
know?
such a like and I remember like just loving his character so much. And I'm like, wow, he's not really in this season a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But like when he is, like he steals the scene, man.
Yeah, man.
The fact that a couple episodes ago when he before he killed Alex, he's having the showdown with Ben. They're not even in the same room together, but
Mhm.
he's still in the scene, man. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn. And then this one especially, he's like on a just like
He's on a whole other level.
yeah, he's seeing
Yeah.
red. I'm like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
He killed the captain,
Yep.
which sucked because
R.I.P.
that was the one guy giving us answers.
Mm-hmm.
He kills the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how the doctor ends up on the beach yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was interesting how like the one of the guys, one of the soldiers, he has the other sat phone and he's just like, hey, how come everybody on the island is saying that the doctor died?
Mm-hmm.
The doctor's dead. And the doctor's just like, I don't know. I'm here.
60 seconds later, Kimi
Yep.
kills him.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, this is interesting. I guess we're talking about B plot right now, which I think is kind of like the boat stuff.
Yeah.
Saeed gets off the boat. The captain gives him the raft, the Zodiac. I think that's what it's called, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he takes off. He's like, okay, cool. Desmond doesn't go. He stays on the boat. Desmond's like, I'm not going back on that island, brother. It's like, makes sense.
Yeah.
So Saeed takes off. Later, once it's dark, the doctor is killed.
Mm-hmm.
And we already know that the doctor's body has washed up on shore, like yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean Saeed is already on the island?
Whoa.
Right?
Oh,
I was at work
man.
today and I just thought about that. I was like, oh, he left first, like a good while before the doctor died.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's going to be like a plot hole or like, is he just going to show up on the island? Like, I don't know.
Man, hopefully he's already there.
Yeah.
Crap.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a head scratcher.
Mm-hmm. But Michael is in deep doo-doo.
Uh-huh.
Well, at least he was. Kimi couldn't kill him though. Gun wasn't working. I was like, oh crap.
Mm-hmm.
And now that Kimi and all the men are flying back to the island, Michael's safe for now.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah, man. Just like people are dying on that boat left and right. I was like, oh God.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Be like, I don't know, Des. I'm getting off this boat.
I know. I get it. Penny's coming for me, coming for you, but you want to be
Mhm.
alive when she gets here.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. So I guess the other thing that's going on in the boat storyline, Kimi gets into the secondary protocol,
Hmm.
which don't know what it is. It's like a red envelope and it has the Dharma logo on it. And he says, if we're gonna kill everyone on this island, this is where Linus is gonna go.
Hmm.
So he's trying to anticipate where Ben is going next. I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, oh crap. Also, Frank, man, Frank's a real one. You know, he shows
Hmm.
up, he warns Desmond and Saeed, and then he's not going to take them. And then they murdered a doctor. He's like, all right, let's go. But
Hmm.
even then, like he turns on the sat phone so they know, I guess, where they're at. And as they
Hmm.
fly over the island, he throws it at the camp.
Hmm. Hmm.
And there's Jack. I think they want us to follow them. Like, no, Jack,
No, Jack.
no.
No.
That was the case. Don't you think they'd do anything else? They'd at least like
Hmm.
Morse code back or something.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Ugh.
And uh Frank's the one who like helps Michael, up out of his situation, and
Yeah.
pretty much like says like, hey, like, how come you didn't confide in me? You know, I
Yeah.
confided in you that I thought this whole thing, was that the boat at the bottom of the ocean was not
Hmm.
that boat. Why didn't you tell me?
Yeah. Dude, I was thinking about it. I think we've seen Frank more than any of the other four because he's always there. You
Yeah,
know, he just keeps
probably.
showing up. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, awesome.
Well, I think we've maybe seen Frank and oddly like Miles, you
Miles
know?
and like Faraday, it's that's the thing. Like they'll get an episode where they actually get stuff to do, and then we won't see them for a while.
Hmm.
Or if we do, they're just kind of like background. They have a line here or there, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I was mostly just thinking about like recently we're getting a lot of stuff with Miles,
Yeah. The
he's at
first
the camp,
the first
all
half was
that.
definitely Daniel and Charlotte was kind of just there tagging
Hmm.
along. And now the second half it's kind of more Frank and Miles
Hmm.
just cuz I guess they're like I don't know about the storylines, but them physically they have to be with the characters in the storylines. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
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 Um
Oh, and Frank has something on his, or no, sorry,
oh,
Frank.
Kimi.
Kimi has something on his arm
Yeah.
that's like, I'm assuming it looks like a detonator, and I'm assuming it's one of those things that I hate where it's like, oh, it's hooked up to his heart rate. So if he dies, something blows up, but we don't know what blows up. It
Yeah.
might be the boat. I don't know. Probably the boat.
Yeah. Man,
I
definitely because when he comes back too, he's like, "Did you sold me out?" Blah blah blah, and he goes to Michael, "You sold me out. What's my
Mhm.
name?" Blah 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 blah. And he's like, "Oh crap, they know who I am." And he starts strapping that thing on. I'm like, "Got to go back to the island." I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh damn, I guess you're taking bigger guns." I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it looks like they got a bazooka.
Yeah, I was like, well, I mean,
Yeah.
technically they had one the first time as well.
Oh,
'Cause they
okay.
blew up Claire's house.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, now they've got two, maybe.
Yeah, but then even the doctor asked, like, what happened to him? He's like, 50-foot column of smoke through him. I don't know, something. A column of smoke through him 50 yards. I was like, oh
Mhm.
shit. Oh
Like,
man.
dang.
That always fascinates me. Like, if you're that guy, right? How do you combat that?
I
What
think
like
he's going about it exactly the way that kind of guy would do it. It's like, all right, I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna get a bigger gun and try and
we're
blow it
gonna
up.
shoot it until I can't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like
It's the predator thing, man. You get
yeah,
all these beefy soldiers, like stuck in the jungle, something's killing them off. And they're
yeah.
like, nope. We're gonna shoot it. We're gonna shoot it till we can't. We're gonna figure it out, all that stuff. It's like, yeah, man. Like
Hmm.
they're doing exactly what they're trained to do.
I love those kind of characters though. Like, I want a good guy like that, you know?
Mhm.
Like Kortrick from Avatar. Like, you can't kill this man. Damn it, you know? Like,
Uh-huh.
I want that kind of character. But like, and I've kind of talked about this too, like in D&D or something, if you run like Curse of Strahd or something like that. I want just this guy, just this soldier who's like, vampires, that's not real. You know, and then he goes and then he realizes like, okay, crap. So the mindset is like, instead of being the character like afraid, like, oh my god, my whole world has just been turned around, he's like, nope. Okay, I need a weapon that can kill it. What, you know, so very like one track mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, magic sword, will this kill him? All right, let's find out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. Because I think there's kind of a, I don't know, I don't, what is that, like a low wisdom or low intelligence? I don't know.
Ooh, yeah, that's an interesting.
It's like, because I know
I,
Brendan Lee Mulligan has talked about it, like being in a horror campaign and just playing someone who's so low intelligence. His intelligence is so low, like he doesn't know to be scared. So he's like the one character who's not scared. And I
mm,
was like, I really dig that, you know?
I dig that. Yeah, I think that would. I think that might be, that kind of guy. It's like you're intelligent, but it's intelligent in like the tactical sense.
Right, right.
You're intuitive enough to know that, like, okay, this is a dangerous situation. Here's how I can combat that. But
Hmm.
you're not emotionally intelligent, so you don't,
Right.
like, you're not scared,
Yeah, yeah.
you're, or that fear comes from like, I am not going to be able to take out as many of you as I thought.
Yeah. Oh
Uh
crap. It can't bleed, so maybe I can kill it.
yeah,
Okay, let's regroup. Let's figure this
yeah.
out.
It's like, oh, it does bleed, but it's acid. Okay, that's
Yeah.
new. Don't do that. Yeah.
That's definitely Kimi, except he's just, well, he's neither of those things. He's just gonna get a bigger gun.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly.
but you can tell, like, what's scary about him is you could tell he's a good soldier. Like, this guy's not stopping. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. So, what do you want to talk about next? Do you want to talk about the search for the cabin, or do you want to talk about Locke's flashbacks?
Let's talk about the flashbacks.
Okay.
Very cool that we didn't know for like 5 minutes
Yeah.
that this was gonna be like Locke's real like origin.
Origin. Yeah, because it starts
Yeah.
in the 50s,
Mm-hmm.
or I
Mm-hmm.
guess the 50s. That's what it seemed like to me. The style.
Yeah, yeah. And his mom's, feels like a teenager,
Yeah.
uh with a guy. We don't know who she's with,
Hmm.
but yeah, it looks like it's she's pregnant. She gets in an accident. She's got to
Oh,
have the
damn it.
baby premature. What?
I just remember who Locke's dad is. I was like, yeah, they never say who his dad is. Who is it? Maybe it's the island. And I was like, oh, wait, it's Anthony Cooper. I was like, oh, crap. I forgot.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Right. I completely forgot. I was like, oh, man. Okay.
Oh, yeah. No. Okay. Okay, hang on though. I guess that's fair because, you know, I everything else about Locke is extraordinary.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like the circumstances of his birth, I guess, are pretty extraordinary too.
Yeah. He was born
Um,
like 3 months early.
yeah, he's born 3 months early, and yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like now we're starting to see how faded this guy really is. This is a
Hmm.
guy who has believed since minute one that he got on the island, that he was chosen to be here, that he was special. And his
Hmm.
entire time has been either reaffirming that fact or challenging that fact.
Hmm.
And now this episode is the definitive, like, no, he's been being led to this point
Hmm.
his whole life.
Hmm.
Which when Richard showed up, I was like, okay, hang on. This is some time travel shenanigans right here. Unless Richard is some sort of secret immortal that
Yeah.
nobody else is.
Because he doesn't look a day different in the
Exactly.
50s. I was like,
Exactly.
but he deliberately says, well, the next time he comes back, he's like, I run a school for extremely talented kids,
Mhm.
especially talented kids like He's Professor X. That's
Yeah,
what it
he's
is.
Professor
We
X.
thought it
What the
was
hell?
John Locke this whole time. It's like, no,
This further cements
Richard.
the Lost as X-Men.
Yeah.
That yeah, man, crazy. So yeah, like Locke has been. So Richard shows up when he's young and like displays like a bunch of items, very like Dalai Lama style. Like which one of these items belong to you?
That's
You
exactly
know?
the Dalai Lama method. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah. You know,
wow.
they present you things from your past life, and you pick it, and you're like, yep, that's the Dalai Lama.
Yeah.
In this case, it's yep, that's John Locke.
But what's
Except
interesting is like, did he pick right? Because he picked the knife. And like Richard changes his attitude. Like, I got the vibe that like Locke made the right choice.
I did too.
But Richard said, nope. He's like, he's not ready, or
Yeah.
whatever. Very cold, very cold. But I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, I think like he knows, like he chose correctly, and for whatever reason, he's like, we're gonna have to keep an eye on this kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Which also because they reach out to him when he's in high school as well,
Hmm.
the science fair, and I mean, I get it. You see where he's coming from. He's this kid who's been bullied this whole time, uh, his whole life. Also, growing up, it looked like in like at the foster system, I guess.
Hmm.
You just tell like this kid's been picked on his whole life, and like you just feel so bad. And he even says he's like, I'm not I'm not a scientist. I like sports and fishing and all the things boys are supposed to like, quote unquote.
Hmm.
You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I was like, oh man, yeah, it sucks. But you
Yeah.
definitely see the path. You're like, yeah, this is what leads to John Locke.
Yeah. So I guess like in the 50s or not in the 50s, but like when he's in high school and he gets that like brochure to go to like like quote unquote science camp.
Mm-hmm.
What because they didn't say Dharma.
No, it was Mytilos, I think,
Yeah.
which, if I remember correctly, that's the company Juliet goes to work for in Portland, and the
Oh,
camp was also in Portland. That's
the
why I was
camp was
like,
also in
oh,
Portland.
Portland,
That's
Portland,
right. That's right. Yeah.
yeah.
I knew that was significant. Okay, cool. Because I was trying to figure out what like the connection would have been.
Because I looked it up
So,
too. I was like, Mytilos, that sounds familiar, and I googled
mhm.
it. First thing that came up was Mytilos Industries. I was like, oh,
Mm.
from Lost.
Oh,
Oh, and
okay.
there's even a LinkedIn for Richard Alpert. I
Oh,
was like, wow, he hasn't posted in a while.
well,
I was like, no references.
that's
Dick. Can I
suspicious.
call you Dick? That's suspicious, Dick.
So that's interesting because I wonder then if like he would have gone if he had gone like if they would have taken him to the island earlier,
I don't know.
you know?
Maybe.
That's interesting. And now we get to post accident post
Yes.
accident Locke. He's trying to walk again. He's in like a rehabilitation center. Um and one Michael Abaddon shows up
Matthew.
again. Matthew Abaddon, yeah,
Mhm.
one Matthew Abaddon shows up again. And you could just tell by the voice,
Yeah.
Lance Reddick's voice from a mile away.
Oh,
You're like,
yeah.
oh, okay, Lance Reddick is in on this. Like, what's happening? Like what is it? And it's very part like outside of the conspiracy. It's like what is happening? It's a very touching conversation. Because Abaddon is essentially saying, like, look at you. You were a preemie and you fell out of an 8-story building.
Hmm.
It's like,
Not at the same time, but yes.
yeah. Not at the same time, but but you're still here.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that something to like consider as lucky?
Hmm.
And it's like,
Oh,
yeah,
he
like,
calls him a miracle. He says, that is a
yeah,
miracle, Mr.
yeah,
Locke.
yeah. And then he's the one that he's the one who straight up tells him, like, you need to go on a walkabout. And specifically the walkabout in Australia.
Australia. Yeah.
Yeah.
He says,
Yeah.
what did he say? I was one person when I went on my walkabout, and I came back a totally different. person or a changed person, something like that. I was like, whoa.
And he knew his destiny.
Yeah, he knew his destiny.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you'll see, Mr. Locke, and next time we run into each other, you'll owe me. I was like, ooh. Okay,
Yeah, I was like,
also,
man,
it doesn't look like he's aged either.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is really interesting because Richard, we know he's somehow tied. He's an other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's with the others at the temple, I'm assuming, on the island. Mytilos, I'm assuming, is a company that the others use. Here comes Abaddon, though. Also doesn't look like he ages. Or, well, that's curious. I wonder how long between the crash and Locke's accident there was. You know? I don't know. Because maybe it's not so much aging, he just looks the same, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was 6 years? I feel like they said that at some point. 4 or 6 years, so it wasn't, I don't know. But anyway, this brings up a lot of new questions because Abaddon, we assume, was working for Widmore, right? Because Widmore sent the boat, Abaddon sending the scientist people. So is he working for Widmore or is he working for something else? But the fact that now are like, wait a second, okay, this is Abaddon has pre-crash connections now to this story. That kind of changes things a little bit. We're like, okay, wait a minute. Because so far we haven't got any of that from Widmore. He knows about the island.
Yeah.
But Widmore just seems like a businessman just trying to be greedy and take what's his. You know, there's nothing about this greater purpose or greatest cause or, you know, all that stuff. You know, but Abaddon, we're getting something different from him. So I don't know.
Or potentially, maybe Abaddon is with Widmore. And, you know, that's why, you know, he's tasked with hiring, you know, Penelope and like the Fantastic Four. But just like how the others have, you know, like their spies, you know, running around places, I wonder if like Abaddon could be a spy. Not for Widmore, but for something else.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I was just thinking about it too. I was like, man, we haven't seen him for a while. He was like in 2 or 3 episodes at the beginning of the season, but like, okay. Yeah. I don't know. Okay, man. Wow. So let's get to the island stuff. They're looking for the cabin. What do you want to bring up, or what how do you want to, what do you want to talk about?
All right. So it was crazy. Locke has a dream where he sees Horace chopping down a tree. It's the same tree over and over.
I really like that.
Yeah, and Horace is pretty much saying like, "Yep, now I'm trying to build a cabin for the missus, you know, so we can get away from, you know, from everybody. But you gotta find me, John."
Yeah, that is a specific kind of haunting too. I read about it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Residual style haunting, in which memories of events play themselves over and over in a specific place. That's something I've kind of heard of over the years. I haven't really seen like a good like portrayal of it or anything, but there is something kind of creepy about it, you know, because there is like that longing to interact with the after, you know. So like if you're there talking to a ghost, as scary or creepy as that is, it's also kind of cool. You're like, wow, you know, especially if it's someone you know or whatever. It's like you're actually connecting with someone from beyond. But to have this, the residual style haunting, where it's like there's no connection there. It's like you found like a skipping record, a fragment of someone's soul or something. That makes it almost even creepier. You know, now of course, like in this case, Horace actually communicates with John to a certain extent. I was like, oh wow, you know, but I don't know.
Yeah, Del Toro does it a little bit in The Devil's Backbone with one of the characters is sort of like like a residual sort of haunting.
Mm.
Um, they definitely go into that in The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where one of the characters keeps seeing this ghost, the bent neck lady.
Oh, jeez.
And no spoilers here, but it's real interesting how the bent neck lady sort of ties into like the family history, but also just like that one character who keeps seeing her. It's
Mm.
it's real macabre. It's real messed up.
Hmm.
I love it. Go check it out.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Teresa falls up the stairs. Teresa falls down the stairs.
Oh geez.
Remember that reference?
Yeah. So yeah. So Locke sees Horace and gets this mission that he needs to go find Horace.
Yeah.
So they go back to the pit where Ben left John Locke for dead with
Mm-hmm.
all of the dead Dharma people. And Locke finds Horace's body and with it finds the blueprint for the cabin.
Yeah.
And I guess on the blueprint is sort of like a coordinate.
I guess so. Yeah.
Like this is where it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's where it's supposed to be.
Which is interesting because it moves,
Mm-hmm.
but they need to go visit where it's supposed to be. It's kind of weird
Yeah.
like that. Because
Yeah.
again, I was like, wait, why is Hurley here? And he even asked too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, now,
Yeah.
keep in mind this whole time, it's interesting what they're doing with Ben. Like, he's slowly, like, he has this interesting kind of turn. Like, throughout this episode, he's slowly realizing, like, yeah, my time's done. It's like this whole episode was him coming to terms with that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
really think Locke having the dream and actually, well, because he even says he's like, oh, I used to have dreams too. And he really kind of warns Locke. He's like, having a destiny, what has its consequences? Or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that. You know, so he's still like in this kind of role, just telling John, you know, not so much to be careful, but it's more like this isn't as great as you think it is. And you know, there's definitely is jealousy in that as
For
well.
sure. For sure.
But I think by the end of the episode, and it's after Locke finds Horace and the map, that's when like Ben starts turning because he notices too, because he just sees Locke going through the bodies, but then he sees Horace's name tag and he's like, he kind of sits up. And I think that's when he realized, he's like, okay, my time's up. Someone, probably Horace, is talking to Locke.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's because then, you know, towards the end, once they find the cabin, Locke's gonna lead them in, and Ben's like, I'm not going there.
Mm-hmm.
The island made me sick, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The island made me kill my daughter or whatever like that. He's like, no.
Mhm.
He's like, my time is over. It's your time now.
Mm-hmm.
It's our time now, guys.
It's our time down here.
Yeah. And Hurley's the same way. He's like, dude, I'm not going in there.
Yeah. It's
So
like, I'm with Hurley. I'm not going in there.
yeah.
But in there is Christian Shepherd.
None other than Christian Shepherd.
None other than Christian Shepherd. Basically speaking on behalf of Jacob.
Yeah.
Yeah, and saying that oh man, I don't even remember what he says. But it's like like Jacob has a mission for Locke.
Yeah.
No.
And he doesn't really tell him, like he tells it off screen.
Yeah.
We don't really
yeah.
see it. It's just more of like, you know what you have to do. You know what the important question you need to ask. Why aren't you doing it?
Mm-hmm.
At the
Which
I was gonna say at the same time shows up Christian's not alone either.
Yeah. Claire is there.
Yeah.
And she looks like, you know, she's comfy. She's
relaxing,
like on board. Like she's
smirking.
here.
Like she knows all the answers that you don't even know the questions for.
Exactly.
Like,
I'm like, who is this person?
Yeah.
What have they done to Claire?
The what?
What have they done to Claire?
What have they done to Claire? Is she a ghost now? Is this nega Claire?
Oh,
I don't know.
I don't know. But they did say that like baby Aaron is where he's supposed to be, which is not here.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, all right. At least they've got baby Aaron in mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, then Locke asked the questions. The question, how can I save the island?
Yeah.
To which we get our reply when he goes outside after Ben and Hurley share my favorite moment of the
I
episode,
loved it.
which
Yeah.
is where Hurley's been freaked out by this dude this whole time. This is like your favorite like comedic, character sharing a candy bar with like the most evil supervillain there is,
Yeah.
And he's there and they share a candy bar and even like Ben kind of like looks at it like, hmm, and then he takes it. It's
Yeah.
like nobody's done that for me, or nobody's done that for me in a long time. And so yeah, they share a candy bar, and then when Locke comes out of the cabin, he drops maybe the biggest bombshell since we have to go back.
Mm-hmm.
The writers are really trying to one up themselves this season because this episode ends where John Locke says, "We have to move the island." Boom.
What?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Which this brings me back to the pinhole that I had earlier. Is that why I think that's why they might not the Oceanic Six might not be able to get back. I think it's part of whatever
Mm-hmm.
I think it's part of whatever weird devil demon pact they signed to where like we're not talking about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody died. There's no reason to explain it. There's no way we can explain it because I think this season ends where Oceanic Six get off of the island and John Locke and everybody, John Locke and Ben succeed and the island disappears.
Nice.
That's yeah, that's my prediction because what kind of a bigger cliffhanger would that be?
That's true.
It'd be so freaking badass if it's
Mm-hmm.
just like there they are, they're on the boat, like everything, like oh my god, like Michael Giacchino music swirling.
Mm-hmm. Which I gotta say, dude, one, I already wrote that down that for the predictions for this episode.
Mhm.
But Giacchino, man, like this episode, he was just like he was the meme. He was the burning the flaming piano meme.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the scene where Saeed takes the boat and he's going back to the island.
Hmm.
It was like the
This
adventure theme. Dun
dude,
dun 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 dun
yeah,
dun
yeah.
dun 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 dun.
the
Yeah.
the scene where the helicopter takes off, that has that it was like the faintest trace, but it's like that's like Batman animated series
Oh
vibes,
yeah.
like kind of right there, which is crazy since Michael Giacchino just did the
Just
score
did
for the
Batman.
Batman.
But
You
I
know,
was listening to it. I'm like, dude, it seems like it feels like an old I don't know, like adventure film,
yeah,
you
yeah, it
know?
really does.
Like his very cinematic, beautiful orchestra music, which
Hmm.
we really didn't have the first few seasons. Like it was there,
Hmm.
but they were doing things differently, and a lot of the instruments they were using were actually parts of the fuselage set because they
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
it to feel very organic and metallic.
Hmm.
So now it's like it kind of the story's picking up. You're getting more of the orchestration, and I was like, dude,
Hmm.
nice. And then I don't know what it was. There was like a cut to commercial at some point. It was like the first half, and like Giacchino just said, "Go nuts!" And it's like dun 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 dun. I was like, what happened?
Yeah.
I think it was one of the it was when they get to the pit at the Dharma Initiative, and Hurley's like, "What happened to them?" He did, and he looks at Ben.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun. I was like, dude, I was laughing. I'm like, I love this show so much.
This show is so dramatic. I
Like
love it.
it's so dramatic, and like it fits though.
Yeah.
Like if you're watching and if you're remembering what show you're actually watching, you're like, this fits, this tracks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I love it.
Kind of like when Jack has to go catch the football. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
What a twist. Yeah. Oh, God, I love this show.
This shit is great.
Was there anything else? You said you wanted to mention something at the end?
No, that was it.
What? Music?
No, if they move the island, is
Oh.
that why the Oceanic Six
Yeah.
can't get back?
Look, here's my note. So who was Locke's father? Delete that one.
Mm-hmm. Although, want to know who was looking at him as a baby?
What do you mean?
Cause so it's right after I think like right after the credits or whatever, we get a moment where they're gonna pull John out of the incubator so that his mom can hold him, and she freaks out. She has a panic attack. She's like, "Sorry, I can't." And she runs away crying.
Yeah.
And her mom starts talking about adoption, and then they're like, "Who's the like who is that? Is that the father?" And she looks through like the viewing room window, and there's just a guy standing there.
Yeah, that's Richard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then he shows up several years later.
Oh, okay. You're right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, that's right. Well, never mind then.
This shows a lot. I know.
Although, okay, I will ask because Kat asked Locke's mom in like season 1. Was that his real mom? I don't remember.
I think so.
Okay. Because he gets conned by both of his parents, right?
Yeah.
And it's just that
I'm double checking. But
yeah,
yeah, they were working together.
Yeah. Because I forget, like, she just wanted to see him. That was like the whole thing.
Right.
You know, because he knew that he's a foster kid. And she's like, yeah, like I gave you up, blah, blah, blah. So I just wanted to see you. And I think that was the con, right?
Yeah. Let me see. I'm reading here. She tells John that he's immaculately conceived. And that's what makes John actually go like searching, I think. Right? And then once Cooper's stolen his kidney, that's when she comes back and she's like, no, he gave her money.
Yeah.
So it was her.
Okay. Well, I'll say that cute little girl at the beginning of the episode did not age well, but maybe, if you don't take money from assholes,
Moral of the story?
to con your kid, don't con your kids.
Listen to your mother. No, because
I don't
her
know.
mother was horrible as well.
Yeah, her mom kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Well, that's lost for you. Just
what parent in the show is good?
Jin's dad.
That's right. Oh man.
And Hurley's mom, arguably, like
Hurley's mom, yeah.
She just wanted what's best for him. Yeah, to a point. I mean, that's just Mexican mom.
She's just very old world Mexican mother, like
the
best and the worst,
Yeah. But yeah, I'd say Jin's dad. Jin's dad is on the level.
For sure.
He just wanted to see his son. He just wanted to be proud of him. He met son, and he's like, "You're so great."
Yeah. Oh man, it's so heartbreaking.
Yeah. Oh man, bring him back.
Yeah.
Bring him back Superman style. I don't care how. He shows up on his little fishing raft. I'm here for my son.
I think Shannon's mom. I think we saw her for like a scene, maybe. Because she's the one who dies, and then she's stuck with Boone's mom.
Oh, yeah.
No. It's her dad. Wait, who dies? It's Shannon's dad is the one who dies in the crash. So she's stuck with Boone's mom, right?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, it was Shannon's dad and Claire's mom. It was the same accident. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh man.
Ooh, man.
years ago. We've been doing this show for almost 2.5 years.
Hey,
Or easily 2.5, yeah.
easily, yeah.
It's already been a long episode.
Yeah. Good luck with the edit.
Yeah, I know. Oh, one thing that was interesting that I didn't realize is that Horace said he was killed. He's been dead for 12 years. So, which I don't know. I just assumed it wasn't. I assumed it was longer. But so that means they were killed off in 1992 because the show is in 2004. At least the island timeline.
Okay.
So I'm like, wow, okay.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Again, I'll finish with this. Benjamin Linus's best line. Destiny, John, is a fickle bitch. That's a line that's been with me since I was a teenager. When I first saw this episode, I was like, that's such a good line. Yeah. Okay. Guys. Oh, wait, I can't end yet. We have still more to do. MVPs.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. Okay.
I'm going to say not Terry O'Quinn. I think he did a good job. Yeah. But I think it was everyone around him.
I agree. I want to give it to ensemble in this one.
Ensemble, okay.
Yeah, because I do. It's exactly as you said. Like everybody gave great performances.
Yeah,
and even though this is sort of a Locke centric story, like episode, like he doesn't necessarily give like a great performance.
And there just wasn't much for him to do in this episode. It's very he's reacting.
That's what I meant. He's like still great actor, but yeah. Just definitely like there's not a lot of meat for him this go around.
Yeah, it's more like he's just the catalyst for the plot to progress.
Exactly.
And it really is like you're seeing a lot of the others starting to catch up to the plot, you know, and to see how they react and how things are different. Like that's really cool. So, yeah, but yeah, definitely ensemble because I'm like Lance Reddick stole the show. I was gonna say Michael Emerson in his very supporting role really added a new layer to Ben in this episode. And then Jorge Garcia, man, just one little scene with no lines, and you just you fall in love with him even more. Love that guy.
Love that guy.
Okay, so next week we are talking about season 4, episode 12. There's No Place Like Home, part 1, in which paths collide as the war for the island comes to a head. Now, this is part 1 of the season finale. It is a 3-part finale. So next week we're going to be watching part 1. The following week we will be watching parts 2 and 3 because they aired together.
Oh,
so this is
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, this is the last like regular episode of the season. Then we're jumping into like mini movie essentially.
Yeah. Okay. Oh boy.
Yeah,
I'm not ready.
Oh man, neither am I. I'm loving this season. They really got to screw up big time in these last few hours, to really like for this season to not be my favorite of the 4 so far.
They what they got to pull. They got to do like they got to like pull a Nikki and Paolo. Yeah. They got to pull a Nikki and Paolo, and they got to make the last 2 hours about one of Jack's other tattoos.
Oh, that's true. What happened to his chest hair? We're gonna find out.
What happened to his chest hair? I want to know that.
Damn. Well, last thing, you did bring this up, and I just kind of want to bring it up again here. Very interesting how we're watching this season, which was a victim of the 2007 writer strike?
I think so.
Yeah, the 2007 or 8. It was like kind of both. I don't remember. The writer strike of 2007 and or 8. And now here we are, 2023, just entered the strike. As like a day or two ago as we're recording this.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a lot of articles out there and stuff like, what does this mean for these shows and all this stuff? And it's like, it's crazy. you know, because
Mm-hmm.
even I was reading this thing and they said like House of the Dragons is fine because season 2 has already been written, but they cannot rewrite and add stuff while they're filming
Exactly.
because that's all done by writers. And so much of TV is kind of written on the fly or edited on the fly. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
so
man.
they're yeah, it's interesting. And it's so crazy too because like the nature of like television and streaming has changed.
Oh
Streaming
yeah.
is a
Yeah.
thing, that was virtually unheard of back
Yeah.
when Lost was airing, back when this season was airing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a concept that now we have to contend with. It's real interesting too because I saw a thing where it was like uh the studios are like the established studios, they know sort of what's going on, what they're getting into. Disney, Warner Brothers, 20th Century, like those, because they've been through this. They've been through a strike and they know, what happens, with
Yeah.
in these types of situations. But studios like Netflix and Amazon haven't been through a strike. So
Yeah.
what is that going to do to their output? What are they
Mm-hmm.
like? Are they going to be willing to play ball and come to the table on this? It's like, so like all my love and support to every single writer and striker out there.
Mm-hmm.
Without writers, we don't get shows like Lost. You
Yeah.
know, we don't get our favorite seasons of television. We don't get our favorite hours of television. We don't get a freaking scene where two characters who have virtually nothing in common get to share a candy bar with each other, and it's
Yeah.
and it's incredible and it means so much. We don't get stuff like that without writers. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And all they're asking for is the bare minimum, at least the bare minimum. Like
exactly,
and the studios, the super rich studios can't even offer them that. That's why they're striking, you know.
exactly.
Yeah, it's ridiculous and it's stupid that here we are 15 years later
Mm-hmm.
doing it all over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Uh Shout out to all of them. Don't stop watching that, stuff. A lot of people are saying, "Well, we're going to stop watching." And we're like, "No,
What?
because the ones who really suffer are the creators.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the
Mm-hmm.
studios. The
Mm-hmm.
first ones to get fired are the staff, the creators of
Mm-hmm.
the stuff. So actually, do your research. Listen to the strikers, WGA Writers Guild of America. Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Um, Check out their social medias, their sites, because they will tell you exactly if you want to help the strike, what to do. Because boycotting the actual streaming and content that could actually make the situation worse. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
so things like this, when it comes to unions and striking, you got to do things in a certain way in order for progress to be made.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's bad enough, then you could they could start talking about boycotting more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So listen to the ones who are actually being affected by this, and they'll tell you what to do.
And uh just a quick reminder, do not cross the picket line. There are going to be a lot of people there. They've already sort of started, like, putting some feelers out for people that are not registered members. I say this as somebody who does a lot of comic book writing. Just it like up in the wind too. Like a lot of comic book creators and artists and people in the industry are also saying, hey, this is going to be the time when companies are going to try and like weasel their way out of paying union dues or union fees, for union
Mm-hmm.
writers. That's going to help nobody but the studio, and it's going to put a black mark on your record. And WGA they have a long memory and they do not rehire scabs. So,
and that's the thing. Like a lot of the people who fall victim to that, they're new, they're green, they don't have any idea what's going on.
exactly.
So these quote unquote content creators, people online, whatever it is, you could be telling your stories in whatever format you choose, or podcasters like us, or like Sam mentioned, comic book writers and authors. They don't necessarily know what's going on, why and who is striking. So they get this deal out of nowhere, like, hey, someone wants me to write a movie or TV show, or at least talk about it. Sure. Because that's the call everyone wants. Everyone is wanting that call. So you got to do your research. You got to be smart about it, because if that happens right now, that's a very bad thing. And you don't want to, even if, a lot of people, like I said, they're the victim of it, but that's not how it's going to be perceived.
Exactly.
So, now, I doubt there's actually anyone successful enough that this will affect in any way, especially because, I see our listener numbers. So, but it's just good to know. Yeah. So, and on that rather sour note, we'll be here next time, because this show, as you can tell, is not written.
Oh yeah.
This is all natural. It's just coming out, just flowing freely. Hit us up, #Lost Legacies. I'm on Twitter at _Matt Jimenez, and on Instagram at Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Reel, that's REEL, Texas Weirdo.
Till next time, get lost.